Have you ever wondered why so many older adults wake up at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling in the quiet darkness, wondering what's happening to their body or mind? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many others share this experience. Waking up in the middle of the night, feeling fully alert but unable to drift back into sleep, is a common experience. And it's not just part of getting older, as many believe. There are deeper reasons behind these early morning awakenings. Today, we will explore 5 powerful explanations rooted not just in surface-level habits, but in fundamental changes in your body's physiology, emotional rhythms, and the very fabric of your daily life. Each reason reveals something important about what your body is trying to tell you. And by the end of this video, you may see your sleep and yourself in a whole new light. This is not about blaming yourself or feeling broken. It's about understanding and finding solutions, which is entirely possible. It's about understanding, honoring, and working with the beautiful complexity of who you are right now, which includes your unique sleep patterns, your body's changing needs, and the emotional and environmental factors that influence your sleep. Stay with me, because what you'll discover today could change how you experience your nights and your mornings from here on out. One of the clearest reasons why so many older adults wake up in the middle of the night, often between 2 and 4 a.m., is a natural decline in melatonin production that happens with age. Melatonin is the hormone that helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle. When we're younger, our bodies produce a strong, steady supply of melatonin each evening, helping us fall asleep easily and stay asleep throughout the night. But as the years go by, melatonin levels naturally drop. This doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's simply part of the body's natural aging process, something we all go through. You may still fall asleep normally, but by the early morning hours, there's often not enough melatonin left in the system to keep you in that deep, restful sleep. Without that hormonal support, your brain shifts slowly back toward wakefulness, even if you don't feel fully ready to start the day. On top of that, your body becomes more sensitive to environmental triggers as you age. Small amounts of light that you once ignored, a street light outside the window, the blinking LED of an alarm clock, or a soft light creeping under the bedroom door, can now be enough to suppress your melatonin levels further and pull you out of sleep earlier than you'd like. Take Harold, a 72-year-old who always considered himself a good sleeper. Over the past year, though, Harold woke up around 3:15 almost every night. At first, he thought it was stress, or maybe even insomnia, but after learning how aging affects melatonin production, he realized it was simply a shift in his body's chemistry, not something he had caused or could have predicted. Instead of feeling frustrated, Harold made a few small but powerful changes. He started keeping his bedroom much darker, investing in blackout curtains and covering any little electronic lights. He also began avoiding screens, like his tablet and television, for at least an hour before bedtime, as the blue light from screens can further suppress melatonin. Most nights now, Harold takes a gentle evening walk around his neighborhood just as the sun sets, helping to reset his body's natural circadian rhythm and naturally encourage melatonin production. These simple adjustments made a noticeable difference. While Harold still occasionally wakes up early, he finds it much easier to stay asleep longer, and even when he does wake, he feels more at peace and less frustrated. Understanding what was happening gave him a sense of control and compassion for his body, instead of blaming himself for something that was never truly his fault. This is the quiet power of awareness. When you know that waking up early may be connected to your changing biology, not a failure of your body or your willpower, you can take gentle, practical steps to support yourself. Minor adjustments in light exposure and nightly habits can make a big difference, helping you work with your natural rhythms instead of struggling against them. Another major reason older adults often wake up around 3 a.m. is a natural shift in the body's internal clock, a phenomenon known as the advanced sleep phase. This means that as we age, our body's natural sleep-wake cycle shifts earlier, so we start feeling sleepy earlier in the evening and naturally wake up earlier in the morning. As we age, our circadian rhythms drift forward, meaning we start feeling sleepy earlier in the evening and naturally wake up earlier in the morning. You might notice yourself getting drowsy during a late movie, or finding it hard to stay awake past 9 p.m., even on weekends. Then, despite hoping for a long, restful night, you find yourself awake before sunrise, long before you intended. This shift isn't just a matter of personal habit. It's deeply rooted in the biological aging of our internal timing system. Think of your circadian clock like a beautiful old watch that, over the years, begins to run just a little faster, nudging your sleep-wake pattern earlier without you even realizing it. When you were younger, your body naturally aligned with a later bedtime and wake-up time. But now, your system begins winding down earlier in the evening, leading you to complete your sleep cycle much sooner than expected. By 3 a.m., your body may have already cycled through much of the deep restorative sleep it needs, making you feel alert even though the world outside is still dark and quiet. This change can feel frustrating, especially if your lifestyle or family rhythms don't match your new biological schedule. It's easy to assume something must be wrong. Still, in reality, your body is simply operating on a new timeline, one that is perfectly natural for your stage of life. There's also a quieter, emotional side to this change. Many older adults live in homes that are more peaceful than when they were younger. Fewer social obligations, less noise, and fewer demands on their time mean the body begins its nighttime shutdown earlier, without the usual distractions to push back bedtime. Retirement, for example, removes the structure of work schedules, commuting, and meetings that anchor daily rhythms. Without those external cues, the body listens more closely to its internal signals, often telling you it's time to rest earlier. Take Oliver, for example. At 68, newly retired, he ate dinner around 5:30 p.m., dozed off during evening TV shows, and was in bed by 8:30 or 9 p.m. most nights. At first, he was puzzled. Why? Was he fully alert at 3 a.m., long before sunrise? After learning about the advanced sleep phase, Oliver realized it wasn't insomnia or a problem with his health. It was simply his body adjusting to a new, natural rhythm. Rather than fighting it, Oliver made some gentle changes. He started delaying dinner by an hour, adding a short, relaxed walk after eating and choosing brighter lighting in the early evening to keep his body's signals aligned with a slightly later bedtime. He also picked up light evening activities, like reading or calling his daughter, which helped to extend his wakeful time just a bit longer. Gradually, Oliver fell asleep closer to 10 p.m. and woke closer to 5 or 6 a.m., a pattern that felt much better for him. Understanding this shift can be incredibly freeing. When you realize your 3 a.m. wake-ups aren't a sign of disease or failure, but a reflection of your body's new pace, you can stop blaming yourself and start working with your rhythms instead of fighting against them. Minor, compassionate adjustments to evening routines, light exposure, and activity levels can gently help nudge your internal clock to a more comfortable schedule. It's not about forcing yourself into old patterns. It's about embracing your body's current state and making small, wise choices to support it. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give yourself at this stage of life is simple: permission to listen to your body's new rhythm and honor it with kindness. Another powerful reason many older adults wake up around 3 a.m. is their sleep patterns and the quiet, persistent signals from their bodies. As we age, physical discomforts, even subtle ones, have a way of becoming more noticeable during the stillness of night. What might barely register during a busy day can suddenly feel magnified when the world is quiet and your body is free of distractions. Simple things like a stiff joint, a full bladder, or a slight twinge in your back can be enough to wake you from deep sleep and suddenly alert you. Conditions like arthritis often build up discomfort after hours of lying still. At first, it might feel like a slight ache, but by 2 or 3 a.m., that ache has grown enough to wake you up. Another very common culprit is nocturia, the frequent need to urinate at night. As the bladder loses elasticity with age, it fills more quickly. It sends stronger signals to the brain, even for smaller amounts of urine. You might not notice it when you're moving around during the day, but lying down at night amplifies the sensation. That urge can easily wake you in the early hours, pulling you out of the deep stages of sleep. Then there's nighttime acid reflux, which is more common than many realize. Eating dinner too late or reclining too soon afterward can cause stomach acids to creep up, creating discomfort that awakens you. Even minor shifts in room temperature, a dry mouth, or a tight muscle can trigger a brief awakening. But once you're awake, returning to deep sleep isn't always easy. Medications also play an invisible role. Many older adults take daily medications for blood pressure, heart health, or chronic pain. Some of these medications have side effects that influence sleep, increasing the need to urinate, causing mild dehydration, or making the body more sensitive to noise and temperature changes. And often, we don't connect the dots between what we take and how we sleep until someone suggests we take a closer look. Take Ava, for example. At 76, she prided herself on maintaining a relatively active and healthy lifestyle. But recently, she noticed a frustrating pattern. She woke up almost every night at 3:30 a.m. with an urgent need to use the bathroom. At first, she chalked it up to aging. However, after mentioning it during a routine doctor's visit, she learned that one of her blood pressure medications was contributing to nighttime urination. With her doctor's help, Ava adjusted the timing of her medication, taking it earlier in the day instead of in the evening, and noticed a big difference. She still woke up occasionally, but found it much easier to return to sleep afterward. Stories like Ava's are important because they remind us that waking up at 3 a.m. doesn't mean our bodies are failing. It's simply communicating, sending small signals that something needs attention. Rather than seeing these wake-ups as annoyances or signs of decline, we can view them as opportunities to listen, adjust, and take better care of ourselves. Sometimes, just small changes, like shifting medication times, adding an extra pillow to ease reflux, or stretching gently before bed, can dramatically improve the quality of your sleep. If you wake up because of physical discomfort, know you're not alone. Even better, know that these challenges are often manageable with a bit of awareness, a minor adjustment, and a lot of kindness toward your changing body. Reason number 4. Sometimes waking up at 3 a.m. isn't caused by hormones or health conditions. It's shaped quietly, almost invisibly, by how your daily habits change over time. Especially after retirement, when the busy work and family life schedules slow down, many older adults naturally shift into a calmer, quieter rhythm. Dinner tends to happen earlier, often around 5 or 5:30 p.m. Evenings become more relaxed, with less stimulation from activities, errands, or social events. Without realizing it, you might start winding down earlier each night. You may doze off during the evening news or drift to bed before 9 p.m., even if you didn't plan to. This gradual shift in routine is entirely natural. But it also subtly resets your internal clock, moving your body's sleep window earlier and earlier. So by the time 3 a.m. rolls around, your body has already had its full cycle of rest and feels ready to wake, even though the outside world is still deep in darkness. Food timing plays a role, too. Eating dinner early is generally healthy, but if there's a long gap between your last meal and morning, blood sugar can drop at night. That dip might not feel like full hunger, but it's enough to lightly wake the brain, nudging you into consciousness. Around the early morning hours, similarly, caffeine can linger longer than you think, even if consumed as early as the afternoon. As metabolism slows with age, a cup of coffee at 2 p.m. might still affect sleep 10 hours later. Take Robert, for example. He's 74 and recently retired after a long career as an accountant. Without the structure of commuting, meetings, and deadlines, his days became quieter, and his evenings even calmer. He started having dinner earlier, settling into his recliner with a book or a TV show. He often found himself nodding off by 8:30 p.m. Before he knew it, waking up around 3 a.m. became the norm. At first, he blamed his age, but after some gentle reflection, Robert realized his body wasn't malfunctioning. It was simply adapting to a much earlier daily rhythm. Once he saw this pattern, he made a few small but meaningful changes. He added a short walk in the late afternoon to keep his energy up. He chose brighter lighting for his evening reading sessions. He adjusted his dinner time slightly later and had a light snack, like a handful of almonds, about an hour before bed. Over time, these changes helped nudge his sleep window later, allowing him to rest longer into the early morning hours. Stories like Robert's remind us that our bodies crave rhythm. They respond to subtle signals from our environment, light, movement, social interaction, much more than we might realize. When those signals weaken or shift, our sleep follows suit. But the beauty is that we can gently guide ourselves toward a more natural and restorative rhythm by noticing these patterns. Minor adjustments during the day can profoundly impact the deep hours of the night. Sometimes, better sleep starts with what you do at 5 p.m., not with what you do at midnight. Reason number 5. Emotional and psychological restlessness quietly awakens the heart. Sometimes, waking up at 3 a.m. has little to do with the body and everything to do with the heart. As the world outside sleeps, the mind grows quieter, and in that stillness, emotions long buried by busy days can finally rise to the surface. Memories, unspoken regrets, lingering longings. These quiet travelers often visit when the house is dark and the distractions of the day have faded away. This kind of wakefulness is different from the sharp anxiety we may have felt when we were younger. It's softer and more reflective. It feels like a gentle stirring, a whisper reminding us that certain parts of our story still need tending. You may find yourself lying there, not in pain or fear, but simply aware of what once was, what could have been, or what still matters deeply to you. Understanding that this emotional restlessness isn't a sign of weakness or failure is essential. It's quite the opposite. It shows the richness of a life fully lived. Your mind, your heart, your soul, they carry layers of meaning that deserve space, even in the quiet hours before dawn. For many older adults, a shrinking social circle and quieter days can make the nights feel even longer. During the day, the garden needs watering, the phone rings, and the grandchildren laugh. But when night falls, the silence invites reflection. And sometimes, that reflection brings tears, smiles, or an aching desire to be understood. Consider Barbara, an 80-year-old woman who has spent much of her life surrounded by family and friends. During the day, she tends to her garden, calls her grandchildren, and reads her favorite novels. But night is different. Around 3 a.m., she often finds herself awake, her mind drifting to memories of her late husband, their travels, their long conversations, and their laughter. At first, Barbara thought something was wrong with her sleep, but over time, she realized that waking up wasn't a flaw in her body. It was a message from her heart. It was an invitation to sit with her memories, to honor them, and to let them breathe. Instead of fighting wakefulness or feeling frustrated, Barbara embraced a new practice. She placed a small journal by her bedside. Whenever she woke in the quiet early hours, she would write, sometimes just a few sentences, sometimes a whole page. She wrote about what she missed, what she was grateful for, and what she hoped for. There was no pressure, no judgment, just honesty. This simple acknowledgement helped ease her mind and soften the edges of loneliness. After writing for a few minutes, Barbara often felt lighter and calmer and could drift back to sleep more peacefully. Emotional wakefulness is not something to be fixed or feared. It is something to be gently understood. It is your soul reminding you that you are still intensely alive, carrying treasures of feeling that are worth honoring. If you wake up at 3 a.m. and find yourself lost in thought, consider asking yourself, what is my heart trying to say? What part of me is asking to be heard tonight? Is there a memory, a gratitude, a longing that needs a few quiet moments to be honored? Rather than wrestling with the darkness or immediately reaching for a distraction, you might find healing in simply being present with yourself, your story, and the quiet beauty of being human. Sometimes, the deepest rest doesn't come from 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep. It comes from acknowledging the emotions that surface, giving them the grace to be seen and felt, and then releasing them with compassion. And remember, you are not alone. Many others, just like you, are lying awake at that same hour, feeling the same quiet stirrings, carrying their private collections of love, loss, hope, and memory. This part of your journey is as sacred as any other. It speaks of a life rich with meaning, connection, and depth. It is a testament to all the mornings you have already lived, and all the wisdom you continue to gather, even in the silent spaces between dreams. As you move through these moments, may you treat yourself not with frustration, but with tenderness. May you meet your own heart like an old, trusted friend. And may you find that, even at 3 a.m., you are not lost. You are simply finding new ways to be whole. As we end this journey together, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. If you wake at 3 a.m., know this: it is not a failure. It is not a sign that your body is broken or your mind is weak. Each of the 5 reasons we've discussed today, changes in melatonin, shifts in your internal clock, physical discomfort, evolving routines, and emotional stirrings, are all natural parts of the aging journey. They are signs of a body still trying, adjusting, and doing its best to care for you. The truth is, your body is not fighting against you. It's inviting you to listen more deeply, honor the transitions, and meet yourself with more patience and kindness. Rather than getting frustrated at each early wake-up, you can gently ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? Sometimes the answer will be physical, sometimes emotional, sometimes simply the quiet wisdom that comes with having lived many seasons of life. Understanding these changes allows you to make minor, meaningful adjustments that bring comfort, peace, and a more profound self-acceptance. If this video resonates with you, please comment below. Share one insight that stood out to you or one gentle change you're inspired to try in your nightly routine. I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts. If you find this content helpful, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. Your support helps us create meaningful, compassionate content that honors every stage of life's journey. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Remember, you are not alone in this. Together, we are learning to understand, heal, and live more gently with ourselves. Until we meet again, take good care of your body, heart, and dreams. And always remember, it's not just about living long, it's about living well.